All right, folks. The MCU's Bleeding Edge in the house. Let's see. Friday, October 24th, 2025. Here to do a movie review, The Life of David Gale, 2003. I'm Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge, co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. On the guest panel this evening, my co-host, Cyberneticshark, Andre's the pop culture guy, as always, like every other week. But I'm moderating tonight. It's my movie. It's my pick. So, The Life of David Gale. So, featuring Kevin Spacey, Laura Linney, Kate Winslet, essentially. So, gentlemen, thoughts on The Life of David Gale? It's really long. I didn't realize how long it was. I forgot that it was such a long movie. It's maybe too long. I don't know what you guys think. What do you think, Cyber? What's your take on The Life of David Gale?
I mean, simply put, I enjoy this film. It's a very sad film, but at the same time, I think it's very poignant to, society and everything. And I think that it does that very well. It explains it very well. And I think it's a very great film. I mean, great performances by everyone involved. But overall, it's just a really sad situation that, fortunately has to happen in order to get a point across, So I think from the script to this, to the director and everything, I think it all is really done well. I've always enjoyed it. I've always thought it was a really great film. And, doing a rewatch of it just today too, I was like, wow, like it's been so long since I've seen this. And there was like things I was like, holy crap, I forgot that they were in it. I forgot they were in it and all this kind of stuff. So it was nice to rewatch it. And I think overall it's a decent film that definitely it's worth at least one watch.
Yeah, it's a pretty well put together film. What do you think, Andres? I just think it's really long. It's 2+ hours.
Yeah, this is my first time watching this movie. First time. I never heard of this film. I mean, I was aware, I recognized the actors like Kevin Spacey, Laura Linney, and Kate Winslet. If it wasn't those actors, I was never going to watch this movie. But the fact that you got good actors here is pretty cool. And yeah, I agree with Cyber. It was funny to recognize some of the actors. When we get into the movie, it's like I was like, oh, this person's here. It was funny. I think this movie is decent. It's not my I don't think it's a great film. I do agree with Jeff. It's a little too long. We'll get into it. It's not a perfect movie. They do this thing, there's a twist, and it's like they want to do that, and it's like if you want to do it, you have to be careful with it. It's like you need to set up the stages that it's going to happen. And we got to, when I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, okay. Some of the topics about this film, it's real, and it's not like a fake thing. I mean, of course, accusation is a big thing. Hear the news.
It's like a reveal movie. It's it's a movie. It's a movie that has a big reveal at the end. And that's like the big deal.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. I find it so unrealistic. You really want to we'll get into it. I just felt like, why you want to do that, to risk it all, but we'll get into it. But yeah, I thought the movie was decent. Very interesting, editing stuff was funny. I mean, some funny unintentional moments that was so funny. I was like, what the heck? They were really over dramatic. In some moments we'll get into it.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, but no, I think there were some parts that were, really good. I think the suspense was kind of cool, and my favorite part of this movie is definitely Kate Winslet. She's a great actress. I think she was the best part about this movie. I always love her. I mean, she's great in Eternal Sunshine we review. She's great in Titanic, and all the films she's done, she's amazing. I think she's the best part about this movie. So I'm very excited to talk about this movie with you guys.
Yeah, she's really good in the Eternal Sunshine. Most definitely. Yeah, she's pretty good in this. It's a pretty decent movie. It definitely it's not a great movie. You're right about that. It's definitely not a great movie. it's an okay film, I think. Okay. This was your first watch of this movie, huh, Andres? Good for you, sir. I'm glad you had a reason to have this experience now.
Yeah, I saw one part of this movie, and we'll get into it. I was aware of this movie, but it's my first time watching this like full on. I was like, okay. I mean,
well, all right. Well, let me go ahead and let me start the plot synopsis. All right, and let me go ahead and read a little bit of that, and then I'll get you guys back on the conversation, and we'll knock this out. It won't take that long, believe me. This is a pretty short synopsis. So David Gale is a former professor on death row in Texas with only a few days until his execution. His lawyer negotiates a $500,000 fee to tell his story to Bitsy Bloom, a journalist from a major news network. She has a reputation for keeping secrets and protecting her sources. He tells her his story revealed through a series of flashbacks. In 1994, Gale is a successful intellectual and head of the philosophy department at the University of Texas at Austin. He is an active member of Death Watch, an advocacy group campaigning against capital punishment. At a graduation party, he encounters Berlin, a graduate student who has been expelled from the school. When Gale gets drunk, she seduces him and they have rough sex. She then falsely accuses Gale of rape. The next day, he loses a televised debate with the governor of Texas when he is unable to name any innocent people executed during the governor's term. Gale is arrested, but the charge is dropped when Berlin disappears. However, his marriage, career, and reputation are all destroyed. Gale struggles with alcoholism after his wife Sharon takes their son with her to Spain and disallows contact. All right, so now they've introduced Constance, the character, Laura Linney's character, in this part of the movie as well. They just don't bring her up, in this part, but she's, obviously mentioned. We see her, already. But you guys kind of know based off that kind of where we're at with the film. Andres, what's your take on that opening, part of the film where he gets accused of rape and all that shit?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that can be real. I thought the way it was presented was kind of, what is it, it could happen in real life, but also, I did find it kind of, that plot line, I kind of felt like it was the weakest of the bunch because we never really get back to it throughout the film.
This movie has real sex scenes in it.
Yes. Oh, that was the thing. So when I was growing up, we watch, these kind of scenes if you're like an adolescent like myself. This scene I remember as a kid, like I was growing up. I seen one scene of this rough sex scene, and I felt like, I was like, what is this movie from? And the fact that he literally gets set up by this student to have sex was kind of ridiculous. And how unsmart is he, knowing that she has a vendetta against him and the school? I feel like it was so stupid of him. But something else, before we have to kind of track back as the opening before he explains this situation. It was really cool how we opened the film. We don't know who was the death row inmate, before we meet Kevin Spacey's character. It was really cool to see the introduction of Kate Winslet character. Who is it? Betsy? Funny name.
Yeah. When they start right off with her running down the street and everything. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I thought that just her, she's kind of like the Lois Lane. She's this tough and no nonsense reporter that is after the art, the source, but she protects the source from any legal things. And I thought that part was very interesting, seeing Kate Winslet's character before we meet up with David Gale's character, right, played by Kevin Spacey. And and then I thought that was very interesting. And then we get into the whole flashback of how he gets accused about the rape and all that. You see this lovable professor, having everything he has in life, and then see it go down so quickly. It's really tragically, which I do sympathize with his character, you know, especially his son. I thought those scenes really worked. You know, Kevin Spacey, you know, terrible person, but he was a really good actor, and he doesn't like phone in his performance here. It's a really good performance. Like I thought him doing that Shakespeare, like, was it battle against the one professor, was really cool. And but yeah, but there's one scene that was like really funny that I was like, I could have took it seriously. It was like when he was calling. Well, I think that was much later. But yeah, overall, I thought this midsection of like seeing the accusation and, you know, meeting our main character, Betsy, right? The journalism was all good. It set up everything like to understand what's going on with this film before we get into the like the little twist and turn that this story is going to take later on.
I mean, obviously, I didn't mention it, but if we get into, you know, obviously, you know, all of the, like, you know, the meetings of with Betsy and, you know, and Kevin Spacey's character, you know, already are starting to happen already, you know. So, Cyber, what are your thoughts, sir?
So on the beginning section, you know, I think it's a very strong, powerful start. I mean, we start off showing Kate Winslet running, you know, from, you know, to somewhere, and you're like, what the fuck is she running for, you know? And I think that's a great way of starting it off. And then we see her at the her, you know, job, getting the assignment, and then of course we're introduced to Kevin Spacey's character, and you know, they start the story, which is really fun. I love the guy that plays his lawyer. I think he's absolutely hilarious. He's in a whole bunch of films around this time too. He was in Eight-Legged Freaks. He was in The Patriot. He was in a whole bunch of films during that time, and I always love watching him. He's hilarious. So him being a lawyer was super funny as hell, and you know, I think that overall he was a great choice for the lawyer. And then you kind of get the dynamics of who Bitsy is a little bit here, you know, especially with her colleague guy that she's working with, and they have the car problem and stuff like that. But I think, you know, the introduction to David Gale is quite interesting. You know, we find out he's a professor, we know that he's an activist, and, you know, of course, we have the whole situation where one of his students is trying to, you know, get something out of him, and so they seduce him, and which was interesting. And, you know, at the same time, I was like looking at that chick and going, I swear to God, she looks super familiar. I haven't looked it up, but she looks just like Rona Mitra to me. And I'm like, is that Rona Mitra? I'm like, holy crap. I don't know. But I was like, she looks so familiar. But at the same time, you're kind of like, okay, I'm all right. But yeah, that whole party scene is quite interesting. You know, we got that, you know, kind of the offhand comments about Constance. And I think that their whole interaction is very interesting throughout the film. But this beginning part is like such a sucky, you know, situation leading to where he ends up landing. We see him, you know, of course he has a kid. He's a wife that's, you know, on business somewhere, you know, and basically we kind of get kind of an idea of kind of who he is in this section leading up to your endpoint, which you know, of course, we get to see a little bit of the interactions. I was right. Excellent. I thought that was her. But anyways, I mean, you know, we get to see kind of the interactions between Constance a little bit here and, you know, David Gale a little bit too, to kind of see kind of where they're at in their headspace and everything, kind of how they're very intellectual, they're very thought process and stuff like that. And I thought that was, you know, quite interesting how they grew that dynamic in the storytelling in this film. And I think that, you know, it's a very solid opening. As like you have mentioned, Jeff, how the film is very long. Yes, this movie is very long for what it is. I mean, they could have probably cut it off right at the 2-hour mark and not have all that, you know, like that other 12 minutes that they added to it. But definitely, I feel the beginning starts off a really good pace and gets you right into the material. So I think it does a good job and it's very entertaining.
Okay. Thank you, Cyber. All right. So, yeah, most definitely. I think watching like his life get like destroyed or whatever, you know, is definitely really depressing to watch, like without question, from an audience standpoint. It's a very sad movie without a doubt. So Constance Haraway, Laura Linney's character, a fellow Death Watch activist, is a close friend of Gale who consoles him after his life falls apart. However, Haraway is discovered raped and murdered, suffocated by a plastic bag taped over her head. An autopsy reveals Gale's semen in her body and that she had been forced to swallow the key to the handcuffs. Securitates torture techniques, which Gale previously wrote about. The physical evidence at the crime scene points to Gale, who was convicted of rape and murder and is sentenced to death. In the present, Bloom investigates the case in between her visits with Gale. Gale maintains his innocence, claiming he and Haraway had consensual sex the night before her murder. Bloom comes to believe that the apparent evidence against Gale does not add up. She is tailed several times in her car by Dusty Wright, an alleged one-time lover and colleague of Haraway, whom she suspects was the real killer. Wright slips evidence to Bloom that suggests Gale had been framed, implying that the actual murderer videotaped the crime. Bloom pursues this lead until she finds a tape revealing that Haraway, who was suffering from terminal leukemia, had committed an elaborate suicide made to look like murder. Wright is seen on the videotape, acting as her accomplice, implying that they framed Gale as part of a plan to discredit the death penalty by conspiring to execute an innocent person, and subsequently releasing evidence of the actual circumstances. So I'll stop there. I'll go right back to you, Cyber. Cyber, what are your thoughts on that, like, middle third of the film, you know, heading into the end of it?
I mean, honestly, it's really intense. It's really interesting. It's thought-provoking. It's very sad. I mean, especially the scene where they have, you know, consensual sex, and she's like, you know, basically crying as they're doing it, and you know, because she you know, realizes she's dying, and you feel really sad for her. You feel sad for all these people. And I think that's a really great likening or a great thing that the writer wrote. I mean, the screenplay writer on this did an amazing job getting those feelings out there and having the right actors and actresses that, you know, pulled it together, just really pulled the heartstrings in this film. And that's really good writing. So I have to hand them credit for that. But, you know, seeing even Kevin Spacey, like, kind of explain this, you know, the story and everything, seeing, you know, what happened, what led to this, and kind of their journey and stuff like that. And you can see it on him, like, even he's so sad, and, you know, that he realizes he's dying for this cause that, you know, that what's her name died for too as well. And as the movie, you know, moves on and we find out that, you know, that this was all staged, like her, you know, and then they start figuring out, like, hey, that video looks staged that she got that was left in her room. And, you know, like, everything is placed meticulously and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, oh, okay. And so you get, like, it's kind of like a murder mystery type of deal going on here, where you get the mystery part along with, like, the dramatic elements and stuff like that, which I think they do really well. And the performances by everyone is so freaking fantastic. I mean, Laura Linney, Kevin Spacey, Kate Winslet, they all play their characters so well. And I think this section really shines on their abilities in this section. You know, leading up to kind of your end point, you know, them, you know, basically coming up to the conclusion where, you know, that this was all staged and was being done to prove a point that innocent people do get executed. And so I think it's funny that Melissa McCarthy is in this film. Like, I totally forgot she was in it, that she plays the goth chick that they go to the apartment that used to be Laura Linney's to do their thing. And I was, like, cracking up because we saw her earlier in the movie, and then I saw her again towards the end. I'm like, holy crap, that's Melissa McCarthy. I didn't even realize it. I'm like, holy crap, I saw this movie, like, you know,
I didn't realize it either.
22 years ago. And I didn't even realize that was Melissa McCarthy that was in that movie. I'm like, holy crap, that's hilarious. But anyways, just a really great, well done job. I mean, this film is very sad, but at the same time, that sadness is, I think, is evened out with the great mystery that's involved with this film. And I mean, leading up, to our endpoint, I think it does it really well. And I just really enjoy it. I think it's a really great film. I think that it surmised very well. Even though it's a longer film, I don't feel there's a lot of sequences that I felt dragged a lot. I felt that it was pretty pin and point. There's definitely places where they could have cut some stuff, like you got, get from point A to B faster. But other than that, I think it still was very smooth going into how the film drew out. So I think that overall, this section is really done well. I thought it was very interesting. You get the meat of the story, you get the real mystery starting going, you get the investigation going, and it's a really solid section of the film.
Most definitely. And obviously you see there's more stuff of him like having to rebuild his life, but it's like sad, his life is like really sad, him having to conquer his alcohol addiction and everything, what'd you think, Andres?
Yeah, so I think this section I liked the most from the film, just cutting back and forth with the flashback of like the events of like leading to David Gale's arrest. And like, I mean, first off, I think Laura Linney's character is another highlight of this movie after Kate Winslet. She's a great actress. I mean, fantastic. I thought her character was very like relatable, and Saber brought it before early. This movie is very depressing. I mean, like it just drops you, like it's like dropping you down with so many of these like sad and like, oh my god, gut punches. Poor David Gale. This is his like house, his job, his kid. And like in the span of like this half-hour mark, and then his friend. Constantine, right? Constantine, or whatever you want to call her, played by Laura Linney. Like, she's very helpful and like still supports him and being a good friend. And then, I mean, the fact that we get to reveal like during this midpoint of the section of this movie you brought up, with the read-through recap, the reveal of the terminal leukemia was like really sad. I was like, why you want to do that? Like, I was really like, I didn't want her to suffer, and now it's like, oh my god, like how I'm gonna be so happy with this movie. It's like it's just so depressing. And then you're seeing Kate Winslet trying to like understand, like you think she will not side, because like early on she believed that David Gale was guilty, but then the part with the friend, Constantine's side of the story, made her kind of realize that okay, he's not as bad as she think initially in the beginning of the film. And her investigation is really awesome. Seeing her putting the pieces together that like something was really fishy, about this crime that he committed, because it didn't seem like it wasn't like properly like set up as he did it, David Gale. And I thought the guy, the was it the friend of Custine in that, like, what do you call it, Death Watch group that she was working on, that was played by I think Matt Craven. By the way, great actor. He's in a lot of things. He's in X-Men First Class as one of the CI directors and stuff like that. And he's in NCIS, which I remember where he was from. And yes, Saber, you have a good point. The lawyer was from the horror movie, the Eight Legged Freaks movie, which I watched constantly. By the way, that movie is creepy, really awful.
Eight-Legged Freaks, you said, is creepy and awful? Are you fucking insane?
Yeah, I have to say it, sir.
You are insane. You need some mental help.
Look.
That's the best movie ever.
Really, the best movie ever with a bunch of big ass spiders.
Giant spiders killing people, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will give you 1 point here. Scarlett Johansson is really hot in that movie, so I'll give you that point.
Excuse me, the mother, Carrie Word, too.
What the? I don't. Anyway, it's a long time I see that movie, but yeah, he was in that movie. It was so funny. I love him. His character as the lawyer is so great in this movie. I just love him. And yeah, and then Miss. Of course, we brought up you brought up the what's the actress, the Melissa McCarthy. Not the biggest fan of her, but I always laugh hard when we see these like now famous actors in their early roles, and I thought that she was funny when it was actually funny in this movie, so it was pretty neat. Yeah, and you're starting to get to understand like understand what was going on. This is where the twist and turns becomes really doozy. Like the fact that the friend and then Dusty, the cowboy who's been like trailing, Bissy and the intern throughout the film, and without knowing what it's about, besides having the actual physical tape of the evidence of the murder, it was like, oh wait, this is going really deep here. So, but yeah, overall, I thought this section was like very entertaining, like very, like very deep, and like I like what they're talking about, like the like either or not death row is like a serious thing to do, with these human people, they have lives and have family, which I agree, and like, is this necessary, But yeah, when you get into the twist, I'm like, man, is this necessary to do? But we'll see. But we'll get into it. But yeah, I really like this section. Really, the performances were really great here. There were some funny moments when there was unintentionally funny moments I had to bring up. Like there was one moment here in this section when Kevin Spacey tried to call his son, and like he's drunk, of course, and I thought that was way too funny. Like unintentionally, I get it was trying to be dramatic, but that was like going too far. I was like, oh my god, this, I don't know, he was saying his nickname was like kind of weird. And then I love Lorelini, but like the scene where she, like the Death Watch group failed to like save this, like I think like death row inmate that they were trying to save, and then she had this like outburst, which was funny. I was like, oh my god. Oh, it was unintentionally funny. But overall, this section is really deep, depressing. Some unintentionally funny moments, but I was engaged with the investigation that Kate Winslet's character was doing, and that kept me going with this film.
All right. Okay, so once Bloom and her aide find this evidence, only hours remain until Gale's scheduled execution. She tries to give the tape to the authorities in time to stop the execution. She arrives at the Huntsville unit just as the warden announces that the execution has been carried out. The tape is subsequently released, causing a media and political uproar over the execution of an innocent man. Later, Wright receives the money that Bloom's magazine agreed to pay for the interview and delivers it to Sharon, along with a postcard from Berlin confessing that the rape accusation that derailed Gale's life and career was false. Sharon looks distraught, knowing Gale told the truth and that she effectively stole their child away from him. Later, a videotape labeled "Off the Record" is delivered to Bloom. This tape shows Haraway's suicide and Gale deliberately leaving his fingerprints on the plastic bag in the process. He then looks at the camera and ends the recording, leaving Bloom stunned with the truth that the couple deliberately sacrificed themselves to discredit capital punishment. And that is the end. So, going back to you, Andres, what are your thoughts, sir, on the end of the film?
What the hell was this ending? I was just like, I was just wrapping my mind after that end. I was like, wait, so you're telling me that Kevin Spacey and Laura Linney set up this fake murder to like stop capital punishment for good by falsely accuse David Gale, who was innocent, and then get this death penalty, whatever, like conversation be questioned. And I'm like, wow, that's like seriously dipshit, like mastermind crap. I was like, what? That far you want to do that? Like crazy. I was like, I mean, like, I mean, we talked about twist reveals in movies, and you sometimes you want the twist to hit you like that hard. Like I was not expecting that. You know, like Seven. Like I didn't expect that. You know that Gwyneth Paltrow was gonna get killed and her head being nailed in a box. And then, but the thing that really hurts is that Brad Pitt character didn't know that she was pregnant with his child, and that it's dead now. Or the usual suspects. Also, Kevin Spacey movie. Like that whole movie is like, who's this mom person they're talking about, and then you get the reveal that was Kevin Spacey's character. Spoil if you haven't seen the usual suspect, and like he just told a whole lie and throughout that film, like shocking, like punch gut to you, like in such a like oh my god satisfying way. This ending is like this twist is like like convoluted. And it's like, and then there's some parts like you were reading through that summary, Jeff, when they brought up the chick that made the accusation, and it's like where like the post credit the postcard that they got, like it didn't say like she confessed it, right? Like I saw it closely in my eyes. It was like it just say Berlin something, I felt that was very softly, like sloppily. Like you didn't see that the wife was so like sad about it. Like she was with her boo or the other husband that was in that room. I like 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 she wasn't upset about her husband's death, or like it was such a weird way to like wrap up that storyline, like from the accusation. Like I think it should have been more deep, and like she was crying and like reading the note or something like that. I thought that was weird, but when they announced the execution happened, like Kate Winslet really did a good job of that. Like I actually liked that scene when she right at the moment of the execution is already done, and like that was a really good like moment. I thought Kate Winslet really cried out really well, and she's great actress. I thought that scene like really worked, and yeah, I think the ending is okay. It's very decent. Like I think you kind of knew that they set up this like elaborate plan to like set up this this thing where the capital punishment is not good by falsely accuse an innocent person. I'm like, okay, all right, that's your lives, you guys. But like, why you want to kill your friend? Like, I guess she was dying, but like, I just think that was going a little too far. But yeah, overall, the movie is decent. It's okay. I thought the twist, like, was kind of like obviously, if you were paying attention to like what was going on throughout the film, like I put together that okay, it seemed like he was set up to like stop the capital punishment, as like Cyberpunk before, like or like French addicts say before, he's a professor of philosophy. This is the interesting thing he has in this topic about this death penalty. So throughout the film, we were like, it was not subtle. Like it was so under our nose. It's like death penalty is wrong, and we saw like the crowd, like the protests, and then dissipating this like organization that's against the death penalty. So it was kind of obvious where the story was going, and it's quite unfair. I feel like you should be more subtle, or like be clear, like straight through what you're trying to do. But so it was okay movie. I thought the twist was okay. Nothing to really brag about. I mean, it's nothing special, I'd say, fortunately.
All right, Cyber, final thoughts on the film, sir?
All right, so the end of the film is even more intense. It gets intenser throughout it. We got to see them running around trying to figure out how to save David Gale, because they find out basically that it was all staged, and they're Kate Winslet's trying to rush to save him, and of course unfortunately she doesn't make it, and we have that unfortunate ending where he ends up dying. And so we have kind of this ending that is overall, it's like horrible. You're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, not a happy ending, not a save. Kind of similar to The Chamber with Gene Hackman and Chris O'Donnell, same type of situation. And I was like, oh, this really sucks. I'm like, that really sucks. She didn't make it, all this kind of stuff. So you know, but at the same time, it's like, you know that in the end, it's, it's to really help something to get to, understand for the legal system. And so, we have this ending where, she kind of, eventually gets over it a little bit and understands better and so like that and sees certain things and is able to kind of come to terms with things a little bit. And, we get to see that we get to see her kind of like have a happy moment, even though it's a sad ending, we still get that. Great performances by everybody. I mean, like I said, Laura Linney was freaking fantastic. Kate Winslet was fantastic. Kevin Spacey was amazing. Matt Craven was amazing as his character, the cowboy, which a lot of people don't realize that's who he is. That's Matt Craven. He was in Meatballs in 79. He was also in K2, which came out in 92. He was in Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf as his dad that dies at the beginning of the film. He is a fantastic character actor. I absolutely love Matt Craven, and I think he does a great job as a cowboy. He has I love that he has very few lines in the film and that he's, basically it's all expressions and it's done really well. And, I think that, the overall tone of the film is so sad, but at the same time, it's so good. And it's still a great mystery type of deal. And I think it was a good mixture of both of those things that made it really interesting and fun. And I think that, overall kind of the, thought process is, if you enjoy, films of this kind of stature, highly recommend checking this out. If you like a movie that's about kind of mystery and kind of that kind of thing, definitely worth the while to watch. Like I said, it's definitely worth one watch. If you find it too sad, you might only watch it once. You know what I mean? That's kind of the same thing with Chamber. The Chamber is the same thing. But, I think that overall, this is a very underrated film. I don't think it gets enough credit for how good it was in 2003. Many, many years ago. It's hilarious to think that, this is that old, that this movie is 22 years old and that it came out that long ago. And it was just fantastic. This was probably, I feel like, kind of the height of Kevin Spacey's, kind of rising star at that time, from the late 90s to maybe like 2010s when he started doing House of Cards. This was kind of his big era that he was really big. And I thought that he was absolutely phenomenal in this. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he was in this. Even though Laura Linney's part in this film, I feel is not as big as, like, say, it was in like Primal Fear or any other films she was in around this time frame. She still had a very impactful sequences in this film that were really amazingly acted. And I remember watching her in this and thinking, because I absolutely, in Primal Fear, she annoys the hell out of me and I hate her. I just absolutely, you hate that character. And so she's annoying. And so seeing her in this, where she's completely kind of like, not 100% different. She definitely has some of the similarities from Primal Fear, but she's still seeing like a more vulnerable place for her in this, and seeing her like sad and seeing her, like weak, and was very interesting to see. And I think that she did that really well. But I think overall, such a great film, great ending to the film. Even though it's a sad and it's not your, sweet ending, it still is a very solid ending to a great film.
All right, let's do our ratings and we'll wrap up our recap. I'm going to give the movie a 7. Andres, what do you got?
I give it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was good. I thought it was decent. Nothing special. I thought the performances was the best thing about this film. I really like, Kate Winslet. I agree with Cyber Laura Linney. She's a great actress. Like the little she was in the film, but because the film talked about her character a lot, it really worked. Like I still felt like her character was important in the film, but with a great actress, they did a good job of casting her in this film, which is really great. And yeah, I mean, Kevin Spacey, he was at his prime here. I mean, this was right after his second Oscar win with American Beauty in 1999. So this was before he, House of Cards became a thing in 2013. So yeah, he was still doing strong work during the mid 2000s. Just wrapping up, Cyber, I have a question for you, because I love Meatballs. I love Bill Murray. What character did Matt Craven was playing? Just a curiosity, because I was like,
he's the fix-it guy.
Okay.
He's the one putting in the air conditioner
Okay. Oh, okay. I remember now. Okay, thank you. That's all I had to say. I thought I was like, wait a minute, he said meatballs too. I was like,
I can't remember
Uh,
his name. I can't remember his name in it. It's
all
like a
right.
gadget name.
yeah.
All right, Cyber, what's your rating for the movie?
I give it a 9 out of 10. I this blah, I take away a point for the crappy ending of it being sad and not having a happy ending, so I have to give it a 9. Other than that, I think all the performances are top 10 notch performances by everyone that was in the film. Everyone was really great, but overall, a really great film.
All right. And that is it. That is the end of our Life of David Gale recap. All right, guys, let's do our plugs and we'll get out of here. I told you this was going to be a quick one. Cyberneticshark, sir, do your plugs, sir.
So as always, guys, if you enjoy me here on the panel or as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, which is my main hub. But you can also find me on Threads, X, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Patreon, pretty much any place there's a social media platform. As you see there, my most recent review is The Long Walk, a Stephen King adapted film, and my other most recent video was Anaconda trailer reaction. If you haven't checked those out, definitely give them a whirl. If you've been watching my shorts recently, I've been putting up some great little AI videos from Sora 2. I got a couple there, one of me ripping a guitar, one of me singing, one of me rapping. If you haven't seen those, check those out. Little funny 10-second shorts. They're hilarious. I have been enjoying making them. They're super hilarious. If you haven't checked them out, check those out. But my last mini review from my shorts, of course, was Popeye the Slayer Man. If you have not seen that on Peacock or Tubi, definitely check out that mini review of it. It's a really fun adaptation of Popeye the Sailor. So give that a whirl. But definitely check that shit out, people. It's fun. Great. It's hilarious. So yeah, please keep on watching. Please keep on subscribing. Please keep helping all of us reach our goals. Keep watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, and we appreciate you.
All right. Andre's the pop culture guy.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the awesome review of Life with David Gale. Thank you, Jeff, for picking this movie. This was really fun. So yeah, recently posted yesterday my 5th part of the Shadow Batman comic book. So check it out. You can check out the Scream 3 25th anniversary. Tonight I'm currently working on another movie tribute because Halloween is going to be on Friday, so I'm doing some couple Halloween centric content. Shorts, I got what is it? Oh, you can see my review of Tron Ares yesterday. You can check out my thoughts about that movie, the 3rd installment of the Tron series. Not that bad. I thought it was okay, but if you're a Tron Legacy fan like I was, it was very, very disappointing. Then live stream review. Thursday, me and Luke are back again together to do the Reanimator live stream review because we're supposed to be the first one, but I had to cancel that. I asked Luke to maybe join me to do that on Thursday, the day before Halloween. So we're going to do that. I haven't yet put the link there. And I'm working on some couple secret projects for live stream for November. It'll be really spectacular. Right now I need to get
Secret.
Yes. I'm not going to. I'm not going to review.
That doesn't sound right, people.
Yes.
I don't know about secret.
It's going to be 3 live. It's going to be ambitious. 3 live stream reviews on big movies, a big franchise, and it's one man. That's all I had to say, and I'll reveal more details on that. I need to
sounds like a porno.
I didn't mind. Oh my god, no! People, everyone, don't listen to Cyber. He's just bluffing. He's
It's probably Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh my
and its
god.
subsequent sequels.
Okay, guys, what I'm doing is I'm forming a superhero team. That's all I have to say. Forming a superhero team.
Okay. All right. Enough said. Okay. All right. All right, folks. We're back again next week on Wednesday for the first episode of the new Welcome to Derry TV show. So we will see you again then. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Later.